Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Board Chitless. I'm Leki, and this week I'm joined by
Sam and Tristan.
And we've been playing Thanos Rising.
Thanos Rising.
It's a cooperative dice chucker, really, for 2 to 4 players. Plays in about 45 minutes, and it's by USAopoly, obviously licensed by the little-known comics company Marvel.
Who?
Marvel.
We should point out this was kindly supplied to us by USAopoly.
Yeah, thank you very much for providing us with a review copy.
Send us more stuff.
But please. We played a quick game of it today. Tristan's been playing a few more games in the past.
Yeah, I've played 2 of these games before with the family to learn the rules. No, I'm kidding. Raphael loves it. He wants to play it all the time. Francesco even got involved, which was nice. So, but we got absolutely mercilessly crucified both times that I played it before you guys arrived, and then as soon as the gamers got together, we actually showed Thanos where to go.
We were the Captain Marvel to your Nick Fury potential endgame spoilers.
I think it was more like Captain Skin of Your Teeth, the way we won this one.
I'm still going to take it. A win's a win.
Okay, we're jumping ahead a little bit. That's my fault. So the game, you are playing the roles of the Marvel Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff. So you take on. I was Captain America, so I had the Avengers base. Leki was.
I was Doctor Strange. I always want to say Jonathan Strange, but that's a completely different character. It was Doctor Strange at the Sanctum Sanctorum.
And Sam was.
I was Black Panther at Wakanda.
Wakanda forever.
So you're those guys, and you have to try and stop Thanos, the massive figure of Thanos in the center of the table, from snatching all the Infinity Stones. And to do that, you have to travel to 3 different districts, which he alternates his attacks through.
Yeah.
And each of those districts has 3 cards to try and collect or destroy, and they're either villains or heroes. So at the start of the game, you're trying to build up, buy heroes, basically.
Yeah.
And at the end of the game, you're trying to kill villains. So you need to defeat 7 villains to win. And you can lose if you have 10 heroes die, or if Thanos collects all the Infinity Stones, or if one player has all of their dudes wiped out. And the actual gameplay itself, you take your turn, you roll to see what Thanos does. He collects some stones, or tries to. Then he attacks a whole bunch of people and puts damage tokens all over the place. And then you get a go. And you have to roll your multicolored dice to try and match the symbols on either the heroes to collect them, or the villains to bash them.
Yeah. And with varying results, usually, as a good dice throwing game would have.
Yeah.
There's a nice bit of dice allocation in there as well, isn't there? So there's about 4 different colours of dice. They've all got the same symbols on, except each different colour has a different six, so you get double that symbol, and so you can work out, the green mystic dice are going to give you more mystics, the red smash 'em up dice are going to give you more blasts, and then it goes on.
Blue tech dice and black cosmic.
Dice. So it works out really well because it falls into the backgrounds of the heroes. So Doctor Strange has his green mystic dice. I think Star-Lord had his red dice, didn't he? And
Black Panther had his tech.
Yeah, and it just works really nicely. And you basically throw all your dice in one big go, and then you apply them to a card to either buy it or to attack somebody. But once you've allocated dice onto a card, you have to then re-roll all the remaining, which gives it a nice little bit of freshness, doesn't it? It thinks maybe I can get better rolls, and it makes you think twice about what dice you actually do allocate.
Yeah.
So I noticed that once or twice my decisions about what card I was going for in terms of buying them changed halfway through a go because the right dice came up. Yeah.
But it always... So, considering it is like a dice chucker, it does feel like there are decisions to be made. Like you say, on the hoof, you have to sort of react to, I was going to actually try and get Hulk on board, but actually now I'm going to smash that villain instead. But all of them are sort of fun things to do, because if you hit a villain, you might not kill them that round. You might just do 1 point of damage to it, but when you do a point of damage to a villain, you get a bonus token card, which can be used on anybody's go. And invariably, it seemed between the 3 of us, we were all using them on other people's goes to try and sort of help them out, which was kind of a cool sort of cooperative element to it. And when at the start of the game, you will have a couple of turns where you'll crap out. You know, you'll roll badly, and you're like, oh man, I can't get anybody. But towards the end of the game, as you build your character pool and stuff, you get more and more dice. But you also get each hero that you get has their own unique abilities and stuff.
Yeah.
So you get healing abilities, dice manipulation abilities. So you roll a blast, you can change it to any side sort of thing, any symbol, and that. And all of a sudden, you've got tons of options, before you know it.
The key each off you quite nicely. I had like the Helmdelm card. Heimdall, blah, blah. Idris Elba, the blind guy looking after everyone. And he was like a mystic character. So because he was like a green sort of character, he meant I could throw an extra green dice if I wanted to. And then because I had that extra chance of getting 2 mystics, if I got them, I could put them on him and immediately he can hurt an enemy anywhere, which is brilliant. So it's like self-fulfilling prophecy, really, of have this extra dice. If it comes out well, you know what you're going to do with it. And because of the way that some of the cards will give you an extra dice to roll, you usually get a choice between 2 sorts of sets, or it'll be more of a support, like transport or something. So it'll help you heal people, or it'll help you damage people. Because it's really well mixed up with what those abilities do. Even though Tristan had about 10 heroes on his squad, he was still limited to about how many? Like 7 dice?
It was very limiting.
Didn't go as mental as it maybe could have done. Me and Sam were much more efficient with who we were buying and when.
Economical, weren't we?
Economical, that's the one, yes.
Yeah. Your side looks very economical by the end, Sam. But you were contributing the most bonus tokens because you had...
Yeah, I had Falcon, so every time I damaged a villain, I got an extra bonus token.
So early on, it became more valuable for you to hit villains than get heroes.
Just hit and run away.
Which meant that you were like getting tons of bonus tokens and then helping me and Leki get stuff.
And then a bit later on, I got Shuri as well, who I could use 1 dice to just draw extra bonus tokens just for the sake of it. And again, so it was...
I just thought you were cheating. That's why you had so many bonus tokens.
But yeah, it became more like I was a support role, so I was helping you guys to defeat villains and get more heroes and better heroes by giving these tokens constantly.
Yeah,
I think it really worked though. I think it became a lot more cooperative on the back of that than any of us anticipated the game being early on.
I think so. Yeah, it very much starts out like I'm just rolling dice and see what happens kind of thing, and then sort of within 5 to 10 minutes, you really have to strategize with each other, even to the point of, I want that guy because if I get him, he'll trigger, like Captain America likes red and blue guys or whatever, so I need a red or a blue guy. But then you'll be like, well, I need the blue guy because that'll key off this thing that I've got. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I'll go here then and hit the villain instead. And all of a sudden there's a bit of sort of almost bartering back and forth about what's the best to do. And then sometimes you just roll the dice and you stare at them and like, help. Like I was like relying on you two to point out, well, you could hit that villain. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And by the end of it, when you're rolling fistfuls of dice and you've got bonus tokens to add in as well, and then other support hero abilities, if you're lucky, you can go into a sector, and in each of the 3 sectors, there's 3 cards. And if you're lucky, you can like hit one of the cards and buy the other 2 cards, and that's like a real cool move. But if you compare to early on in the game when you potentially have a turn where you do crap out and roll nothing.
I did a couple of times.
Yeah, well, I think we all had a turn where nothing happened, sort of thing. But except that Thanos is still doing his stuff, like that's constantly happening. But then by the end of the game, everything feels like you're more empowered, but it feels more perilous as well. So I had like 10 characters or something by the end. It was crazy. 8 or 10. It was 10, wasn't it?
It was about 10, I think.
9.
100. And it felt like, I've got tons of cool abilities. But then I was terrified of those abilities, which are like the active player deals 1 damage to all of his heroes. Because for you, it would have been like put 3 damage down. For me, it would have been like, everybody's dead, like the whole universe sort of thing. And that could literally have ended the game. And by the time we did approach the end of the game, all of my characters were severely damaged, and we were being very frugal with the healing abilities because you had a few tokens that could remove damage from heroes.
Other than that, it was the ships. It was like heal 1 damage off 1 hero.
Yeah. So my temptation in games like this, my temptation is always to use the stuff when you get it. But actually, we were really hanging on to it because you can have a hero take full damage and then use an ability towards the end of the turn to save him from death, effectively.
Yeah.
So I managed to avoid the sort of temptation to just use the healing now, and make my Captain America look good and remove all those horrible red cubes from him, and just hang on to the point where we were actually going to lose heroes and then just use those tokens to bring them back from the dead. And that really saved us turn after turn to the point where we had, I think, 5 dead heroes by the end of it. We could have had a lot more. I think there would have been a lot more carnage if we hadn't carefully allocated where the healing was going to go.
Oh, yeah, easily. It was sacrificing the healers as well.
Yeah.
To keep the other stuff alive.
Yeah.
Which seemed really counterproductive, but it was the only way to give you the dice that you needed.
That's the other thing. So the healing ability sounds great, but if you lose, like he was going to lose Doctor Strange a couple of times, and if you'd have lost him, you lose an extra dice from your die pool, and that would have been devastating.
They were just literal band-aids, weren't they? Really useful early game, nice and cheap to pick up, but then just useless by the time Thanos really gets going.
Yes, because he's doing that as well. So that's the other thing, is we're all building our stuff. He's collecting his Infinity Stones, and at first you're just like, oh, he's just putting counters down and leaving to it. But then when he collects them, each one of them gives him an ability, which triggers off the villains in play, and also can really screw you over. So if you leave
like
that
the real Infinity Stones.
They're not real, Sam. They're still just made up.
Lies!
Prove it.
Oh, challenge has been set.
So, but yeah, at the end he had like 3 or 4 Infinity Stones, which meant that every time he acted, he did something awful, like you can't use bonus tokens, or you can't use healing, or everybody takes a damage, or
fast track to the end of the game.
Yeah, and
So
exactly.
The time stone meant that every Infinity Stone that had the least amount of tokens on them, so if there was like 3 stones that had 2 tokens on, they all got an extra token. So after about 3 turns of rolling greens on the Thanos dice, we were like 1 turn away from death at any moment.
Yeah, and then when those bonus tokens came in, that
removed them
or
again.
abilities, you were triggering some abilities that removed the progress from his Infinity Stones, and they were lifesavers because they kept the tide of doom back.
Yeah. But they also gave Thanos enough time to kill off a load of heroes. So we thought it was going to be the Infinity Stones that ended the game unless we won, which looked quite doubtful because there was only about 3 dead heroes by the time we're up to about most of the Infinity Stones. But then we managed to watch out for the Infinity Stones, but then the graveyard filled up. And it was just like, I didn't see us winning it until I think you had this glorious sort of turn where you just kind of emptied out one of the districts, and then Sam killed about 2 enemies, and I managed to just come in and mop up and murdered a final sort of like minion. Yeah,
we went from like no villains dead to like 5 villains found in a couple of turns, which felt really good. It felt like really good, empowering and super heroic.
Yeah, the game still made you like sort of fight for it. It took about 4 turns to kill like required baddies.
Yeah, even when we thought we were up to speed, it still took some time out to sort of get it together and kick it.
That's it. I really like this game. It sort of feels very sort of midway, but what I do love about it is it's the first board game I've ever played that sticks to its promise of playtime. I think it's 45 minutes pretty much on the nose.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably the Infinity Gauntlet progression timer dice rolling mechanic that keeps it in check.
Yeah, it's nicely presented. Components are pretty cool. The dice and gemstones and the art and everything fits the thing.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd say is as well, we are fairly reserved bunch of British gamers who don't often wear our hearts on our sleeves during play, but there was definitely points today where we were whooping like little girls when we rolled the right symbols.
Rolling 6s always feels great.
Yeah, my one thing, I really enjoyed it. The components, most of them, I felt were really good, but I don't suffer from any colour blindness at all, but I was having real difficulty telling
the blue
and green. On the card, like the dice, you can easily tell, but on the cards, it said like, take a blue or a green, and I couldn't tell the difference between them. It was really difficult. And on the Infinity Stone dice, the difference between the red and the purple, they were very similar as well. I had to sort of flick back and forward to check which one was which when I'd got it. And the only other thing was the Thanos model, the giant Thanos in the middle. Like, it didn't add anything. It was just the way it was facing, and I don't think the quality of it was really good enough to warrant what it was. I mean,
you don't like the toy.
It didn't feel fitting. Like the quality of it didn't feel fitting.
Remind
with
me
the
the name of the game again. Who's Rising?
my opinion, is completely out of place. No, I agree with you. If we're looking from like a miniatures manufacturing quality point of view only, then yeah, it's a bit weird that everything else is card based, and then you've got this like statuette just in the middle of the table.
It's just the component quality. The idea of Thanos is fine. It's the quality of it is just not really up to par with the rest of the component quality.
Yeah, the molding's not too fantastic, and it's a bit of a weird paint job, isn't it?
I don't know, man. It looks a bit like Josh Brolin to me.
Yeah, it's good. It's good enough, and when you consider
That's what I mean.
But when you consider sort of like other board games that lean heavily on like movie IPs and video game IPs, it's a lot more than you could really expect from some of the other ones. It's better than like a big cardboard standee. I think it adds a bit of theatre to the game. Considering with like you've got 3 sort of districts, which I suppose represent the different dimensions that Thanos was jumping through in the actual movie, and the fact that he's just literally turning to face them, it just gives you something else to do rather than just having a tableau of cards out flat on the table. You're kind of putting them around somewhere. It's a bit like the tree in Everdell. It's serving a purpose, but it's completely manufactured, like
Gimmicky sort of thing.
very much gimmicky. But
I do think
what
there
else
is.
is it going to be?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think there's a definite you have to roll to see which way he goes at the start of each turn.
Yeah.
And when you're flying out, you pick a segment to go to at the start of your turn, and then you roll to see where he goes. And for me, there's definitely a moment where if he turns towards you, you're like, oh man, because now you've got to put damage on every single one of your heroes and trigger whatever villain abilities you've got in that sector and hit the heroes in that sector as well. And I think I get what you're saying, Sam, about the sort of the plastic model and everything, but I think as a way to sort of visualize where he's going and what impact he's having like even just rotating that model around to face you, I think has a sort of visual impact that I guess how else would you do it more easily?
No, I appreciate the miniature. I think the idea of it is good. It's just, as I say, it's just literally the quality of that and the pure on a component level, which is what I was talking about. It's not really up to par with the other stuff. But that was it. You know, I like the idea of it actually facing. It could have been done with a cardboard token, an arrow.
Yeah.
You know, but it's much better what they've done. It's just, I think,
It's sort of a.
it'd be quite nice to just repaint it, maybe.
You're welcome to, Sam.
Except I'm terrible.
Not as terrible as me.
Still talking about painting.
Yes. What do you think about how the theme works with the actual gameplay?
Great. Sorry. A brief pause there while we pass the microphone round. Microphone poppers. In terms of like the theme, I think it fits really well. Essentially it's some really simple mechanics for a board game with the Marvel Avengers in Thanos Rising sort of IP slapped all over it. You could change this to pretty much anything else. You could have it being some soldiers in a war. You could have it being a load of kids out on an adventure. You could make this Stranger Things and have it as the Demigorgon and have all the characters as Stranger Things characters in it, and then like demi-dogs and stuff. You could change it pretty much to whatever you wanted, and the game will still work excellently. The theme is very much skin deep on this, but it's a board game based around a movie, and you're always going to be very rigid with what you can actually get away with for the theme. So it would be nice to change a few bits around, but I don't think they could, especially like likeness rights and stuff. It'll be interesting to see what you're kind of bound to from the point of view of a publisher. But yeah, I thought like the game doesn't try to outstep the theme, and vice versa. The theme doesn't try and promise anything that the game can't deliver.
Yeah. The one thing with the theme is I didn't feel like I was playing as the heroes who were on my team. So it was just working out what dice I had and what abilities it was, and it was almost like I didn't really feel those characters coming through. And the cards are great. They're really like, I love the imagery on them, the pictures on them. They're really quite good, brilliant representations. I think some of them are even just photographs almost, if not all of them. But I didn't feel like I had a Falcon flying around with me, and I didn't feel like I was Black Panther. It just, that bit was missing for me. So although they were really great and the art was really cool and everything, I didn't feel like I was those people. Thanos was right there in the middle, and again, maybe it was the miniature having that. You knew you were fighting him, and you could see the heroes in the middle. You knew what you were going for, but when they joined your party, it was almost like, okay, these are just my dice now.
Yeah.
These are the abilities I've got at the bottom. That's what I'm interested in. I didn't, and maybe that's just a personal thing. I don't know.
It's a light game, isn't it? I suppose you would have to have a much deeper game experience to inhabit the role of Black Panther or whatever, wouldn't you? And a list of abilities that are representative of him, whereas this is literally each character has one ability. Each of the leader characters has more health. In fact, I think all of the leaders are, if you get another hero that matches this colour, get another dice.
Yeah.
So certainly I could see how you'd say, I don't feel like I'm playing as Iron Man or whatever. But I think with a game like this, like Seven Wonders, in Seven Wonders, you build a civilization, but actually it's simple matching and pretty pictures and stuff, and quick gameplay. I think to have a light, quick gameplay that gives you a sense of what's happening rather than a drilled down, deep, like RPG style experience of playing out a specific superhero, battling a specific villain, you would have to go a lot deeper and have much more abilities and longer gameplay and everything else. Whereas this is very much, it's 45 minutes. You're not going to spend the whole night playing it, but it's a great way to set up the evening or to play in your lunch break. And it fills that sort of middle ground gap of, I've got less than an hour to do something. And
it feels like more of like a sort of very family centric sort of like training game. Suggests on the side of the box 10 years plus. And Raphael's been playing it. It's like just a bit short of that sort of range, but
8 years old.
8 years old, yeah, but he easily picks up the rules.
He's a gamer's son now.
Yeah, that's it. He was, no chance whatsoever.
He's doomed to geekdom.
Yeah, so this would be a great one for like families with some young children. You want something that's sort of light to play, easy to learn, but then something that they can maybe pick up and play while you're making dinner or something.
Yeah, and dead accessible for people who perhaps like Marvel, but don't play board games.
Exactly, yeah.
As an entry point, it's not overly complex.
It's tied directly to that market, isn't it? This is going to sit in Waterstones, Barnes and Noble, and someone's mum who knows that their kid likes, Marvel, might pick it up thinking, oh, great for a rainy day or whatever.
Yeah.
Price tag, I've just been looking up, it's about £40 out in the shops, which probably points again that big miniature in the middle is maybe a way of trying to,
I think.
And the IP, trying to justify that price tag. But again, £40 for a couple of decent afternoons gameplay,
Fairly standard price for board games.
Yeah, we're pretty hardcore gamers, and it entertained us for like 45 minutes. We would probably play another game if we had time for it.
How long did it take you to grasp the rules from...
Oh, 2 turns.
It literally wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was like,
easy.
I'll play a turn, this is how it goes.
What were you doing for that other turn then?
I was...
asleep?
Yeah. I've got a lot of sleep to catch up on now.
He's had a baby, Sam. Remember babies?
Well,
like the one you've got?
Oh yeah.
Helen had a baby. I just kind of spectated and helped.
This is not what I was told at all.
But in terms of the theme though, like judging Sam's point back up, it very much is sort of like sided on Thanos. Like when the theme comes to life, it's when Thanos turns to his henchmen in one sort of area and turns them all on, and then they just run absolute riot against all your heroes.
Yeah.
Which is quite fun.
And the harder villains are way harder.
Yeah.
It's like the standard general outriders, I think they're called the henchmen type dudes, will sort of rain havoc on their area, whereas there's some brutal, like Ebony Moore and those other tougher dudes will just ransack the game. And
It's 4 horsemen.
yeah, we basically are, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the temptation is to let them just go and do their own thing because they've got like 3 health boxes, which means 3 turns worth of degging on them to try and kill them. But if you do leave them to it, like we were doing, they cause extra infinity tokens to be placed and all that kind of stuff. And they can really wreck your game if you don't stay on top of them. And in fact, by the time we started attacking villains, we were pretty much forced into it. There was, if we had carried on just picking up heroes instead, we would have been in trouble sharpish, I think.
I think that was a bit of a luck of the draw though, because we had the situation where one district was just henchmen, like 3 villains, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
Only because we bought the heroes from it.
no, that's how it started.
It started the game with 3 villains.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But so we were going to the other ones to try and get heroes. Whereas I think if they had, by the look of the draw, been a more even distribution, you could have been putting damage on it whilst collecting heroes at the same time.
Yeah.
So you'd have felt like you're doing damage to it all the time, and it would have also been much less of an impact when he did face that way. But on the other hand, when he wasn't recruiting, get his villains into his schemes, it almost bought you more turns.
Yeah, although there's certain symbols, aren't there, that come up where he activates villains that aren't even in his district.
Yeah.
And those will crucify you as well.
There was, some of them would activate out of turn, but then one of the horsemen had this really awful ability where he responded as though Thanos was in that area as well. So if you were in the area with this particular horseman and then Thanos activated him, then he'd all of a sudden turn around and be like, yeah, but it's like Thanos is here, and then start attacking you. Yeah. And you were just trying to like pick up, like a war machine or something in the corner. You reminded your own business. Yeah, exactly. And all of a sudden you're just getting absolutely annihilated. So it's, like I said, it's an easy game to play. It's easy game to pick up, but you're constantly managing what health all your characters have, which characters you're going to try and pick up, and more importantly, which villains you're probably going to try and destroy as well.
It doesn't feel like an easy game to win.
No.
But the only suggested alternatives, like in the rules, the variants, are all to make it harder. So maybe we were doing something wrong. Although we did win. We did actually.
We did, yeah.
Out the win.
And it felt like we could have lost it at any time.
Yeah.
It was just our pure, tactical brilliance and great game management that won it for us. Yeah, definitely.
For a 45-minute short game, going back to the theme point, I would say the theme comes across really well for me. It says that Thanos Rising is literally
you know what you're getting into.
You're chucking a bunch of superheroes at him, using dice to see what they do.
Yeah,
I think individually, for me, there's a thematic disconnect between I've rolled a blast symbol, and therefore I'll match that to that villain. But the upshot of your turn, once you've done all those little effects and stuff, is cool. I've got Groot and I killed Ebony Maw.
Yeah,
and it's those kinds of things where you're just like, I feel like I've done a cool thing. And then when you're helping each other out as well, and Leki's got a forlorn face because he's finally rolled his last die and he can't allocate it and he's not going to get anything this turn. And then Sam's like, I'll give you a tick symbol. And you're like, yes, I can get
chips in.
whoever, Iron Man or whatever.
That's it. So, it was alluded to earlier with some of the colours chosen for the dice. And
the actual Infinity Stones, although I'm pretty sure they have to sort of
they're following the movie, but the tech symbol, for example, it's obvious once you see it, it looks like the Tesseract, and that's cool. But me and you thought spiderweb straight away. So I was like, "Where's Spider-Man?"
He's in there, by the way.
Yeah. And it's saying that Iron Man didn't turn up as well.
Well, that's the thing as well. What we maybe got halfway through the deck,
but it was cool.
So there's a lot of variety in. Not necessarily the setup, because there's only 4 main heroes that you'll start with.
But in the actual card play.
But in the cards that come out, and like Sam said, you could start with a set that's full of villains, or you could start with entire just heroes to take it easy for a few turns, until he starts bringing in his henchmen. So there's plenty of variety in how the setup goes and how the gameplay plays out, and that variety is going to be dependent on which strategies you pursue, whether or not you want to go for those specific heroes or these specific villains, or you want to trigger off certain abilities that you have, like Sam was a fighter, like going in, getting extra bonus tokens and stuff like that. So that's nice for a lighter game, knowing that you're going to get a different setup and layout each time.
There's a lot of replayability in it. There's more characters that we're going to get exposed to if we play again, more locations, I'd imagine, in terms of your base camp and all the modifiers that we got. There was loads of extra buffs where if you get 4 of your particular sort of dice rolls and your first chuck of the dice,
you can do a mega cool.
Yeah, you get an extra bonus token or something, or you get to heal somebody.
Although I kept forgetting to use mine.
I was healing up a little bit once in the whole game.
I never once powered mine up. Just roll 4 of the same. No,
it probably happened, but we just forgot about it.
Yeah, we were too busy fixating on War Machine or who's going to pick up what. Yeah,
I would say for a lighter game, this is one I'd be keen to play again.
Definitely.
There's not many light games like that. Seven Wonders I love playing, but we've got a ton of expansions for that now, and each one changes it up. I don't know how you do an expansion for this. Maybe just add more Marvel heroes or villains or whatever.
You'd probably just release Endgame Let's face it, it's not the sort of board game where they're going to be
Thanos
making.
sinking.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect nor really think anyone would ever bother making expansions. Maybe there'll be some homebrew sort of expansion stuff that people might put in, but it's very
It's also literally called Thanos Rising Avengers Infinity War, so it's tied directly to that movie rather than to an ongoing sort of campaign system.
I suppose the one thing they could do is redo some of the characters as the starting characters.
As the dusty versions.
But no, so we could have taken some of the other ones like Black Widow or something and given her the extra health and stuff and made her a starting character.
Yeah.
With a base.
Ability and stuff.
Yeah, like Russia or something, yeah. So that'd be one way, but it wouldn't change anything. It'd just be a few extra characters. Shuffle them in.
Yeah.
But extra villains, maybe.
Did you play it again, Sam?
Yeah. Yeah. Purely, as I say, my only drawback has purely been a couple of the components. So yeah.
Which one again?
the colours of the dice.
The big toy.
The blue and the green.
It's just that miniature is just, well, it's not really a miniature. It's above 3
Miniature.
inches tall.
Maxiture.
Yeah, the Maxiture isn't floating Sam's boat quality-wise. What do we think now? It's Hulk came out in this, and no Bruce Banner. Like, have they seen Avengers Infinity War?
Maybe some overlap in the timeline with Ragnarok.
Potentially.
Or Endgame,
Yeah.
I'm assuming if Hulk doesn't turn up in Endgame, it's going to be serious disappointment.
Hulk did turn up in Infinity War very briefly right at the start, so give him some credit.
It could have been Loki in disguise, though. Oh, conspiracy theory.
Sounds a very strange conspiracy theory. Considering Loki was actually there at that time.
No. Oh, yeah. But there's that fanfare, isn't there? Potential spoilers here. If you've not seen Avengers Infinity War, go out, buy a DVD player.
As if you haven't.
Yeah, exactly. But Loki could have been Bruce Banner in disguise. Ooh, Bruce Banner could have been Loki in disguise, even. That's what people are saying. I'm not saying they're
People
right.
have a lot of time on their hands.
I've got a lot of time on my hands. Don't tell my
To
boss.
investigate the fan theories.
Yeah. Time I could be spending
Create fan theories.
editing podcast. Yeah.
Literally making it right now. Like he's putting it out there. It's fan theory of.
So if you want to listen to my new podcast, Crackpot Theories,
AKA Bruce Loki Banner.
yeah. But yeah, I think we've all said it a few times. Fun game, light game, decent, just about worth £40, you reckon? I'd probably part with that cash if I was buying this as a gift or putting it in my collection.
I think you have to be a fan of the theme. But I don't know a person on planet Earth that doesn't like Marvel, that isn't lying to themselves. But yeah, no, you have to get into the theme. You have to at least seen the movie. But providing you tick that box, there's a lot of fun to be had here.
I think the £40 is probably a bit pricey if it was a non-gamer.
Because of miniature.
No, I just mean if you, like you were saying earlier, if someone was buying it as a gift for their son because they loved Marvel, their son or daughter, £40 is a lot of money for something if you don't know what it is. Yeah. So from a gamer's perspective, I think it's good value for money for us wanting to play it again. But if you're just looking at the theme and going, "Oh, just buy this as a gift," it's kind of, it goes a bit pricey.
To put it in perspective, I picked up the Alien Legendary expansion today. The expansion, not the game.
Yeah.
And that was 40 quid.
Yeah.
And
Also,
that's some extra cards.
That's amazing.
You've not played it yet. It's literally in a box over there.
Scrabble.
It'd be awful.
But it's Alien.
True.
Scrabble and Monopoly would probably set you back, about £30 these days?
And that's just financially. That doesn't even cover the emotional setback.
yeah. It's not too bad a price tag, and I'd probably think that flip it on its head, hardcore gamers would probably struggle to find £40 worth of value more than a casual person off the street.
That's what I mean. So from a gamer's perspective, it's good value for money. I just meant someone just looking at it who isn't. It suddenly looks like a lot of price for what you're actually getting.
No, I think the opposite. I think someone that is really into games would think, oh, but the components and this, and it's only that big miniature maybe that you're paying for, putting the designer's time and effort aside. Whereas a casual person will be like, oh, £40, that's cheaper than a PlayStation game. Maybe I pick that up, just trying to be obtuse and argumentative.
I'll agree to save an argument.
Yeah, but it's not. It's let's face it, it's not expensive, is it? Really, in the world of board games, like Tristan was saying, it's not like £90 for a huge box that you can't even fit in the back of your car. Yeah, I'll allow that, as the kids say.
And this was Thanos Rising.
Yeah, great fun. So I think we'll end it there if you're agreeable.
The miniature.
We did play another game, but we want to play it more before we chat about it on the podcast because I love it and you guys need to play
teasers. We're gonna tease it a little bit more. We're gonna have to.
I'll do a sound effect to give people an idea of what it is.
Go on. That's disgusting. If you do that on a not live podcast, I'm not going to edit it out though. I respect your journalistic integrity. If you can guess what game Tristan is alluding to, I'll give you a clue. It's a board game. Then please send in postcards to PO Box. Why are we still listening? At Budgetless. Yeah, we'll be back hopefully very soon and with another podcast. So we'll see you then. From me, it's
Happy
goodbye.
New Year!
Happy New Year, yes! First of the year. First podcast of the year. Fun. Bye-bye. I'm still talking. Why am I still talking?
Bye.
Bye. Bye.